The Wall Street Journal had an opinion, or not an opinion piece, actually. It was reporting on Biden's mental acuity that has come under fire. I mean, let's be clear. Rupert Murdoch owns the Wall Street Journal, also owns Fox News. It's a right-wing paper. And there were suspicions about why this article was written, how relevant it is. We all know he's an older man that's he is deteriorating, but as we always say, I'd rather have an inanimate object in office, but with Democrats as a part of the administrative state and the executive branch, than a Republican. It doesn't really matter to me. It's more just about the thousands of other people that come with who you elect as president.
But most people are looking for a romantic hero when they choose a president. So
this is the effort to exploit that here. Yeah. And so the Wall Street Journal had that piece. It was also then reported that advertisements for the Wall Street Journal on the internet were featuring this piece about Biden's alleged mental decline, all over their ads. And then this comes out here. Sinclair Broadcasting, which is a group that owns around 185 TV stations around the country and has been criticized for being monopolistic, buying up all these local TV stations and pushing a right-wing agenda. The owner of Sinclair is David D. Smith, who is a longtime Republican donor and has donated to things like Turning Points USA and Project Veritas. So he's really drunk the Kool-Aid. He and Sinclair Broadcast Group on their nearly 200 channels played this basically exact same word for word segment all over the country. And this was it.
The Wall Street Journal calling into question the mental fitness of President Joe Biden. As national correspondent Matt Gelka tells us, the issue could decide the election.
Wall Street Journal has published a story which calls the mental fitness of President Biden into question. As national correspondent Matt Gelka tells us, the issue could be an election decider.
Should he be on that or any ballot? The Wall Street Journal is out with new reporting calling into question the mental fitness of President Joe Biden. As national correspondent Matt Gelka tells us, the issue could be an election decider.
As the Wall Street Journal is out with reporting calling into question the mental fitness of President Biden. We want to know,
that's
are you
a real
worried
thing
about President Biden's mental fitness? As national correspondent Matt Gelka tells us, the issue could be an election decider.
As the Wall Street Journal is out with new reporting calling into question the mental fitness of President Joe Biden.
And as national correspondent Matt Galka tells us, the issue could be an election decider.
Lawmakers think this can be an election decider.
The Wall Street Journal is out with reporting calling into question the mental fitness of President Joe Biden. As national correspondent Matt Gelka tells us, the issue could be an election decider.
Matt Gelka's
the November election just 3 months away, and President Joe Biden's mental fitness being questioned once again. According to a Wall Street Journal report, members in both political parties have serious concerns about his cognitive ability. National correspondent Matt Galka has more on this concern.
The Wall Street Journal is out with reporting calling into question the mental fitness of President Joe Biden. As national correspondent Matt Galka tells us, the issue could be an election decider.
The Wall Street Journal is out.
I think we get it. Holy crap, it's 6 minutes long.
Yeah, so just to give credit, credit is due, Judd Legum on his popular information newsletter, and then in conjunction with Aaron Rupar in his public notice newsletter, they put this together. And it's literally 6 minutes of Sinclair Broadcasting saying the exact same thing about this Wall Street Journal piece. And this is similar to that video from 2019 that I think Deadspin uncovered. I think it was Timothy Burke at Deadspin uncovered that was talking about their like journalistic integrity efforts. And it literally, he like interstitched all of them saying it all at the same time. So this is like a tactic of Sinclair's where they basically just send out a big email blast being like, hey guys, here's the script for today. Let's just do this across all of our local news stations where people are ostensibly getting their, like, you know, what's the weather?
Right.
What's the traffic report like? Biden is senile.
Yeah.
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 Great gig if you can get it. Just read it. I mean, you're literally just performing.
No original reporting. You just have to chill and stay and just read the teleprompter.
You know, there used to be like, I forget the writer, amusing ourselves to death, Neil Postman. We're talking about TV as just like, it's not good. And there's certain people like my mom thinks like, okay, I'm going to watch like MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News and get the entire spectrum. It's like, that's all trash.
Yeah.
It's all trash. And local news is even worse, Frank. Well, local news is its own kind of trash because it's basically like, okay, what did the cops tell us that they have? So let's get any press releases from them so we can, make people respect them and feel like they're being protected. And then whatever national bullshit. And then the only actual reporting being done is probably local sports and maybe meteorology.
Right. Or a feel-good story or something like that. Brandon, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, I don't think mental acuity can be the deciding factor in this election. Between Trump, Biden, the third most popular candidate has literal brain worms and RFK.
Yes.
I think mental acuity is, low across the board. I think you just notice it less with Trump because he's always been like that. And the Republicans are also tend to just be like that too. And it's just like, so it's like nonagenarians talking to other nonagenarians. But, it's no more noticeable with Biden than it is with any of them.
No, exactly. Wanting mental acuity in the presidential candidate is like looking for houses in Fargo and wanting like an ocean view. It's like,
it's not going to happen there.
And about the WSJ reporting in particular, this was noted on like MSNBC covering it too, but it bears repeating. A lot of the on-the-record quotes are about Kevin McCarthy's like indication of how Biden has been, whereas around the time of the meetings that he's referencing, there were multiple reports across major news outlets, Politico, Reuters, what have you, that in private he would say that Biden was sharper and more on the ball about details than he would say in public. So it's like, it seems a little shoddy to only use Kevin McCarthy's on-the-record comments and then not remark that he in private, a number of different reports, said that he was actually sharper than he anticipated.
Well, let's play that Kevin McCarthy thing then. It's a great segue, Bradley, because Kevin McCarthy is irrelevant at this point. He was such a climber within the Republican Party that it actually put some people off. He made a deal with the devil to get into power, to say, hey, you can, at any time there's anything you disagree with, here's a motion to vacate. Any member can bring it to the floor. And those 8 extremists, including Matt Gaetz and Nancy Mace for some reason, and she's dealing with her own ethics probe, but let's put that aside for a second. They decided that we're going to come for Kevin McCarthy, and it ended up working. So he left Congress. He's probably trying to find some lobbying gig. And he went on not Sean Hannity, Jesse Waters' show last night to talk about this report in the Wall Street Journal about Biden's mental acuity, and they're trying to make this a thing. So we played that Sinclair Broadcasting thing over and over. This Wall Street Journal report on Biden's mental acuity is played on hundreds of local channels throughout the country. Kevin McCarthy cited frequently in reporting on this. And these are like this is the substance of what he's talking about how Biden's losing it. McCarthy tells Jesse Waters a bit about this, and just notice how bored Jesse is. He just can't wait for this to be over, and how like threadbare the examples are that McCarthy's using.
Well, what I would do, he'd always go with the cards, right? So what I learned early on, he has to read from them. And once he starts reading, I was interject. And then he didn't know what to do, and he was startled. And then he'd close it and just stop. And then Kamala would have to start talking. So it was a play.
Oh my God.
It was a play I used every time. There was one time we were sitting there, and he's taking us on a tour. Then all of a sudden he goes, "Do you want to go out to the pool?" What? Yes. And then Jill's on the other side of the table with me. She goes, "No, they don't want to go out." He goes, "You don't want to go out?" Then he opens the door, and it's wintertime, and he walks us down to the swimming pool into the changing room. What? Yes. And then we walk back up, and he's created this little room outside the Oval Office to be a little office for him. Now, President Trump had it as a gift shop. Right. But Clinton used it for something else. But, right. But he's made it a little office for himself, like 10 feet away from the Oval Office. Why?
Like a little mini office,
yes,
not the grand Oval Office, like a little cubby hole.
Between you and I. Right. And all it does is have a little desk in there. And then it has one of those valets. And when I walked in, it had a blue dress shirt all wrinkled. Look at, when does the president take his shirt off in there?
Taking his shirt off in the Oval?
But why didn't they clean it up? I don't know. He's changed it. And then we come walking back, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, please don't show this to any other world leader.
Oh my God.
I will tell you, Democrats.
Kevin, I can't believe he showed you the pool in the middle of winter, but not just the pool.
No, the
dressing room.
Yes.
When he got
Whoa.
Wow. So that, I mean, really, he's basically a vegetable at this point. So I just want
to. He's a small office.
I'm going to recap this. Yes. So
please do.
So Kevin McCarthy is claiming that his evidence for Biden not being there mentally is that he reads from cards, which this is a version of the teleprompter argument that was used against Obama.
That's literally what presidents do. Like, and Reagan, who, I mean, I guess I wouldn't just say as somebody who was all there, but just as an example, I recently heard about where, you know, when you're getting briefed on a subject, they will give you cue cards and things to make sure you mention, because there are greater experts than your one person on certain issues.
That the WNBA players in their press conferences are reading from like best bullet points. Are they all declining mentally?
Soros.
Yeah.
Soros is saying
they know that the average Republican. They know the average Republican is intimidated by reading, and so like they always make sure to mention that, like, oh, he can read, so like grab the pitchforks.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to recap, though, that was actually the most substantive part of that tale that Biden needs Kamala to step in when he's reading from cue cards. Then Biden's clearly making a joke, saying you want to go for a swim when they're talking about the pool. He's joking. It's in the middle of winter time. And he takes him to his second office in the White House, which is, I guess, in the pool house of the White House. And that is supposed to, and there's a wrinkly blue shirt in there. That's supposed to create fear in the eyes of the American public that Biden has lost it. If that's all he's got, it makes me feel like Biden is actually better than even maybe I anticipated based on how he speaks sometimes in public.
And also this like what McCarthy is referencing is also like the same kind of tired strategy that I think is one of Trump's biggest weaknesses in his attempts to frame Biden, which failed spectacularly last election season, is that they're going to set up this bar that's on the floor for Biden ahead of the debate, saying he literally can't string one sentence together. Okay, what happens when he does string one sentence together? Right. How do we market that afterwards? Because he's going to. Even if he strings one sentence together, then collapses. He has still exceeded the bar that they're setting for this guy. They're making him seem like it's weekend at Bernie's.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves with that one.
but I'm saying
it's pretty bad.
But it would be pretty bad. But I'm saying they're literally saying he cannot string a sentence together.
Right.
He will string one. I'll bet every cent I have in my bank account that Biden will string one sentence together at the debate on June 27th.
No, I mean,
I'm
hyperbolic.
I'll get the Nikki Haley tattoo if Biden doesn't string a sentence together.
But what significance does it have either way? Like, even if he has a poor appearance and looks like an old man, who gives a shit?
Right. It's optical.
Trump looks
it's
insane.
Completely optical.
Trump looks like an old man too, and he's just raving, and people are reminded that, oh wait, he's a convicted felon. Everything is just the value of this upcoming debate is to remind people of what they already know, and to put Trump, I think, back in the public consciousness, because I think people did forget. Oh wow, it really was a bit of a difficult time when he was the leader of this country.
Also, I just find it also very funny that like Trump at the Vegas rally, like one of the main takeaways was that the teleprompter was swinging around in the wind and falling over, and Trump was like, the teleprompter's not working. It's a piece of shit. I'm not going to pay these guys.
Right.
But like, obviously, it doesn't really matter that there's always the false equivalence of the two candidates. But like, Trump uses a fucking teleprompter, so like, Biden uses cue cards, so like, it's just, this is complete window dressing. Like, it just doesn't matter.
No one makes voting decisions based on this.
They're just setting the narrative ahead of the debate, because no matter how Biden performs, they're going to say, and you know, he might perform very poorly. I don't think it matters. To be fair, my definition of him performing very poorly at the debate is different from theirs. Mine is that he's going to try to outflank Trump on the right, on his immigration policy, on his love of Israel. And I think, you know, these kinds of conversations between Waters and McCarthy are just meant to avoid having the very real conversations about the fact that Biden is doing a lot of Republican things. And for the left, that's the problem. But for Republicans, they're trying to keep that away from their more impressionable viewers, even though like they could spin it better to be like, well, he's not doing enough. He's not doing as hard as Trump would do. They don't want them to expose to those ideas at all, I think. They're just trying to, keep the narrative as like, oh, he's a doddering old man, even though Trump obviously is worse in so many other ways, but is also a doddering old man.
Yeah.
Although I will say, just quickly, it's just been there's been a lot of like older politicians having meltdowns in our political system for the past year. I feel like, Dianne Feinstein, Mitch McConnell, Trump, like Biden. It doesn't feel like there's ever been a time in American history where there's been as much senility within our like ruling party.
I think quantitatively that's just the case. Like it's older than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And gerontocracy is just in full effect right now.
It's also reflective in the way that the Democrats have been unable to meet the moment. They also have a gerontocratic, or however you say it, view of politics.
Yeah, it takes a while to find Hakeem Jeffries to pass the keys to, and people are aging quickly in the search of it.
And Brandon, it's such a good point too, because I feel like also the debate, if I have another prediction that I'll hang my Nikki Haley back tattoo on, is that despite the perception of wanting to make Biden seem like a doddering old man, Biden and Trump are going to argue over who's more pro deporting immigrants,
right?
Who's more strong on the border. Biden and Trump are also going to be like, who's more pro-Israel, who's more stridently pro-Israel, more stridently about eliminating Hamas, so to speak. Like they're going to have sort of a right winger off, I think, a little bit, and that's also, as you're saying, Brandon, why they want to sort of shroud that to make Biden seem more of like this, not just a doddering old man, but also like a socialist lunatic.
Yeah,
which he isn't.
He is not. Fact check.
If only.
I wish.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.